Hello everybody, time to get started, 6 p.m. my time zone. Good that you're all here. Thank you for answering to my poll. I would like to know where you are from, because I'm going to ask you pretty soon which time zone works best for you for these sessions. I noticed that most of the people attending right now are in approximately my time zone, and very few people from the Americas, no people from Australia. I guess they are sleeping. And yeah, I'm trying to find out a time that works best for you, and maybe I'm going to repeat some of these of the upcoming sessions twice. In case you have never been here before, welcome. This is one of my 10 free online training courses. My name is Sander van Vught, and you can see my website right now. Well, I have several websites. RHCert.com is a website that is related to Red Hat products. This session is a session that I have added to my series of 10 free online training courses. I wasn't planning to do it, but last week I was thinking, hey, next Friday I have nothing to do at 6 p.m., so let's do another session. These sessions are free because I like to provide you with good information that helps you prepare for the Red Hat exams. I'm doing this because open source has been good for me, and I think in open source is all about the community. You take a little, you give a little. If you just take, then that's not good, and that's why I'm trying to give away something as well. So this session is about networking. I'm trying to get to the list of sessions here so that I can show you which other sessions are scheduled. So today's session is about networking. This is RHCSA, RHCE level session. So I'm starting from the basic, and I'm trying to explain a little bit what is happening with regards to networking, because networking in RHEL7 is often misunderstood. So in this session, I'm going to talk about the network script, the network manager. I'm going to answer why suddenly you have a new network device if you upgrade to 7.2. And we are going to look at how easy it is to configure a network configuration using the network manager tools. nmcli, that is. Next week's session will be about working with MariaDB databases. It will be an introduction session that is teaching you everything you need to know about MariaDB databases for the RHCE test. On the 23rd, we are doing Kerberos, which is definitely RHCE level. The topics that I'm covering on the 23rd are background topics. So this is not something that you will see on the exam, but on the exam you need to know about Kerberos, and I want you to be aware of what exactly it is and how it is working. So I'm doing a short introduction so that you know what a key tab file is and what a Kerberos key distribution center is, and an admin server and stuff like that. On March 1st, I'm going to solve problems that many of you have, and I'm going to talk about setting up LDAP authentication. I know that LDAP authentication is difficult to understand, and that is because the software isn't very stable, and I'm going to show you the procedure, how it works. March 10th also is a topic that causes a lot of confusion. This is a session that's going to be about Kerberized NFS. Kerberized NFS is a very essential RHCE topic, and I have struggled with it a lot also because of the software that does different things in different configurations, and I'm going to propose my solution that will work every time you apply it. So if you are preparing for RHCE, don't miss March 10th. It's very important. March 22nd is setting up caching-only DNS server. The only reason I'm doing it is because I don't like caching-only DNS servers, and I think the topic is stupid. But as a trainer, I do like a good challenge, and that is why I want to provide an amazing session about a stupid topic, which is caching-only DNS. April 6th will be advanced Apache features. like TLS and stuff like that, and user authentication and more. Then we do auto mount on April 15th. SE Linux, I'm repeating SE Linux on April 22nd, because every single time I'm doing classroom training, people are telling me, hey, can you tell me some more about SE Linux? Because yeah, I've heard the story, but please tell it again. I know many people know about SE Linux and why it is important. And many people like to hear it again. Marius is asking a question: should we do the RHCE stuff if we are only doing RHCSA at the moment? Marius, if you like understanding what it is that it's all about, if you plan to do RHCE in the future, if you just want to know more about Red Hat products, these sessions are for free. And please do remember that all sessions are for free. They will be for free for 1 week only on YouTube. So once they're gone, and you will have to find another solution to get the information. So I would recommend doing that. Session number 11 is the last in the list of this series of 10 webinars. It's the open Q&A. I will tell you in late April how we are going to organize it. But what I want to do, I want to answer your questions. So you can send me your questions, and I will make a list of questions, and I will prepare answers to those questions. I really want to provide the information that you need. Now, if you need more information apart from these sessions, I'm going to do a 1-minute commercial now. I do have video courses and books. Many of you already know them. You might have seen my RHCSA, RHCE cert guide. Did you notice, by the way, that this picture is wrong? It's the RHCE, RHCSA 7 cert guide, which is stupid. Fortunately, on the book, it's all right. And apart from that, I do have video courses. There's a complete, I think it's about 16-hour course for RHCSA, another course for RHCE, which is about 10 hours. And I have the bundle course where you can buy RHCSA and RHCE in one solution. Also very interesting, if you already know a little bit because you have attended one of those amazing Red Hat courses, for example, you may like my exam prep workshops. There's a streaming and a download version, and the exam prep workshops walk you through an exam and prepare you for what you should expect on the exam. Of course, I'm not going to work through the questions on the exam, because for the exam there's a non-disclosure agreement, and we should all contribute to keeping these exams very valuable exams, and not talk about the contents. But I will give you the right impression. I will tell you which topics you should expect and which topics are less likely to expect. So these are amazing products. And if you are in for a nice discount, please send me an email and I can send you a discount coupon for 30% discount on one product, or 45% discount if you want to purchase more than one product. One more thing, I noticed that many people are interested in it, and that is my Safari Books Online. If you were here last week, then you have heard that my video, my RHCSA video, currently is number 6. I'm very happy to be number 6, but I want to be number 1. And I need your help to become number 1. So how does it work? I'm getting higher in the list if you watch my videos. So if you watch my videos, I'm moving up in the list. And if I'm moving up in the list, then I will be very happy. And when I'm very happy, I want to share my happiness with other people. And that is why I'm going to give away 10 free seats for an upcoming online RHCE course if I will become number 1. If you want to participate, there's a very simple way of doing that. Just open my video course and send me a screenshot of your browser where you show me that you have opened the video course, and that is proof that you have contributed to getting me up in the list. What if I won't become number one? Well, depends on how happy I am. I might give away a couple of seats anyway for this online RHCE session. So please help me, and you might get lucky and get access to an online RHCE course, which will be in April or May, and which will be 6 hours of 6 sessions of 3 hours each, and that's for free. Pretty cool, isn't it? So let's start more pretty cool thing. Let's talk about networking. To start with, I want to make a small drawing about how networking is organized in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7. So at the bottom layer, we have the network interface. The network interface is the thing that is connected to a cable and stuff. And the network interface is managed by a service, which is the network service. And in case you are wondering what exactly is this is the network service, the good old network service that is started as an init script. It's not systemd, it's an init script. The network service brings the network interface up or down. So you do need this network service to be started. On top of that, we have the network configuration. Just by starting the network interfaces, you don't really do anything with the configuration. And if I say configuration, I mean the ifcfg dash whatever files that I will show you later in the session. Now in RHEL6, something amazing new has been introduced, and that is a service which is called Network Manager. Now, what is the idea about Network Manager? Well, Network Manager was written to provide access to the network configuration by other stuff, such as dbus message interface. And the dbus message interface is an interface that can be used by any application. And as it becomes more and more important that stuff on Red Hat boxes can be managed from applications directly, this was a nice improvement. So application talks to dbus, dbus talks to network manager, network manager talks to configuration. But there is a problem, and the problem is, you can guess who this is. This is you, the happy system administrator. And what are you doing as a system administrator? Well, if you know your stuff, you want to talk to the configuration directly. So how is that going to behave with Network Manager? You can imagine if you as a system administrator are going to talk to the configuration directly, and if you are going to modify the configuration directly, then you are getting conflicts. But fortunately, Network Manager has been improved a lot, and it is watching the state of the configuration files, and they should be synchronized as well. So Network Manager is really going to be, well, not going to be, it really is the interface for managing networks. In the old days, if you are old school network Red Hat administrator, you may know system config network. You know, system config, those were the configuration tools in RHEL4. And if you have been managing Red Hat for a long time, you have been using system config network. System config network, which writes to the configuration directly and which sees only the options available in system config network. But the IPsec has evolved a lot, and you are going to miss information if you are going to work through system config network, which is why Red Hat has removed system config network from RHEL7. And instead, they have provided a few amazing new utilities like nmtui. Bang. Do you like segmentation faults? If you do, you are going to love nmtui so much. nmtui is a bad utility. Don't use it because it crashes all the time, it corrupts your memory and you don't want to use it. So how are we going to manage networking in RHEL7? Well, we could have the GNOME application, which in fact is going through the dbus as well to talk to Network Manager. In the GNOME application, there is this Network Manager applet, and we can have the amazing new utility nmcli. nmcli is Network Manager command line. And if you see it for the first time, then you think, wow, this is a difficult utility. But if you really understand what nmcli is doing, you are going to like it a lot. And that is one of the main reasons why I wanted to do this session. Because many people do not understand how nmcli is working. Hey Shaq, good to see that you're back again. You can use it just to set one IP on 7.0, but other stuff it will crash. You are talking about nmtui, right? That's what I was thinking. I have tried in some specific situations, which I don't want to mention specifically here, to set an IPv6 address with nmtui on RHEL 7.0, and it crashes. It's not capable of setting IPv6. It's not capable of doing many other things. So nmtui really is something that you don't want to use ever again. Don't do it. So it's gone. And this is providing the overview of how you want to manage network on a RHEL 7 environment. Isn't this a nice drawing? I thought let me change for a bit and make drawings in these presentations. So I've got a question. In RHCSA exam, must use command or can we use GUI like nmtui? You can use nmtui, but it's an unstable utility. And if nmtui is going to segfault on you, then you're in trouble. And I don't want you to be in trouble. I want you to pass the RHCSA exam. And that is why we are going to talk about nmcli. Let me move over to the virtual machines. I've prepared my 3 virtual machines again. There's the lab IPA. Oops, where is lab IPA? I'm not really going to need lab IPA for this session, but I just want to see that it's there. There is my server 1, there is my server 2. For your information, the server 1, I have upgraded it to 7.2, and the server 2, I have upgraded it as well to 7.2. 7.2 is different than 7.0, but I notice that many people are using 7.2 anyway, and I am expecting, I'm not guaranteeing, I'm just expecting that the exam will be on 7.2 pretty soon as well. I don't know if it's the case. It's not for now, is what I hear, but pretty soon it will. So I want you to be prepared for 7.2 as well. Now, what you need to know is that that server 2 is a server that has been installed with the minimal installation pattern. And server 1 is a server that has been installed with the server with GUI pattern. It does have a completely installed graphical user interface. I just haven't started it because who wants to work with a graphical user interface? You don't, because for the exams you want to be prepared for working with servers in text-only mode. So I'm getting a couple of questions. Marius, need to register my VM before I can upgrade. If you are using CentOS, you can do free upgrade. I am using CentOS in my environment because it's basically the same as Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and it is free software. If you are using RHEL, then you can register for a free 60 days, I think it is, evaluation version. And after registering, you can do the update. I would recommend using CentOS and not RHEL, because it's more flexible and you can get more easy access to the updates. So I've got another question. What is extra features added in RHEL 7.2? I wouldn't say extra features, I would say improvements. There's a long list of improvements, and really in this session I I don't really have time to do that. I might be doing that later. And Michael is asking, is it wise to edit the configuration directly, or is it better to use nmcli? You should use nmcli. I will show you how amazing nmcli is in a short while. So what I want to show you first is IP A on server 1. Have you noticed? If you are upgrading a 7.0 server with at least the server with GUI installation pattern and probably some other installation patterns as well, you can see that you have a BR0. That's a virtual bridge. And really, that makes no sense. I have no clue why they have included it. It's probably because of some stupid dependency that shouldn't be there, that you suddenly get a virtual bridge with a virtual BR0-NIC. Why would you want to have a virtual bridge? You want to have a virtual bridge if this is a KVM virtualization host. This is not a KVM virtualization host, so you don't need the virtual bridge at all. And I even think that the virtual bridge is going to confuse you. So if you see the virtual bridge like I do, just get rid of it. And I will show you how. The interesting thing is that network configuration typically is in etc sysconfig network-scripts. And if we do an ls, we can see IFCFG ETH0 and IFCFG LO. We cannot see virtual bridge. And why is that? That is because the virtual bridge has been created by the hypervisor layer. And you should look for it in the directory etc libvirt qemu. And in this directory, you find a subdirectory with the name networks with a default.xml. And if you read this default.xml, this is the virtual bridge configuration. You can also see that there's an auto start directory in here. So if you go to the auto start directory, you do an ls again, you can see symbolic link. ls-l shows that this is symbolic link to the default XML. And the solution to get rid of your virtual bridge is just to remove the default .xml symbolic link. It won't be started again automatically. I have tried it. I have seen no issues after removing it. So I would just recommend to remove the virtual bridge, because anyway, the virtual bridge isn't going to be used at all. And by the way, for RHCSA and RHCE, you don't have to know about virtual bridges. You want to know about virtual bridges? Go do the Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization course or the OpenStack course, which, by the way, has been released. My OpenStack course is on Safari Books Online right now and should be available for purchase next week or so. So this is to start with, remove the virtual bridge. I haven't tried yet systemctl restart libvirt d. That's going to get rid of my virtual bridge. I'm not sure, but at least I wanted to try. Oops, IP space A, it doesn't. And I'm not going to reboot this machine to get rid of it. So we are just going to ignore the virtual bridge. Now on server 2, if I'm doing IP space A, you can see that there's an ETH0 only, so we don't have the virtual bridge. Marius, should I stop releasing so many courses? Well, they're patiently waiting for you, and I just want to release as many courses as I can so that you have an affordable way to get trained on these valuable skills. Do it whenever you are ready. They will be there for you waiting. Okay, now something else I want to talk about. This is going to be a 30 seconds explanation about ifconfig. Are you still using ifconfig? Don't do it. Why not? Man, ifconfig. No, let's start by doing ifconfig on this server with a minimal installation. Hey, tab completion isn't working, and that is because ifconfig command not found. Doesn't exist. It isn't even installed on some installation patterns. On server 1 you can see it, and if you do a man on ifconfig, then you can read this program is obsolete. For replacement, check IP address and IP link. If you want to miss important information, go ahead and use ifconfig. If you really want to know what is going on your network configuration, don't ever use ifconfig again. ifconfig is obsolete. It has been obsolete since the release of the 2.0 kernels. That is almost 20 years ago. So welcome to the 21st century. Don't use ifconfig anymore unless you are on a Mac or another stupid operating system that doesn't have the IP command. All right, something else. IP space A. Do you see this name here? ENO1677736. What is this ENO1677736? Well, that is BIOS dev name. BIOS dev name is an invention that was created by Dell and that has become the standard in Red Hat Enterprise Linux 7. And the purpose of BIOS dev name is to provide you with device-dependent network names. So ENO is an embedded interface, and this is the interface address that my VMware Fusion is using. You might like these ENO namings, which can be completely different between servers and which don't seem to make sense. Or you might like the good old ETH0 names. I like ETH0 names instead of the ENO names. And if you want to have ETH0 names instead of ENO names, just make sure that while you are installing, that you are adding two options. I will show you the options in the grub configuration because you can do it later on as well. If you go to the etc default grub configuration file, in this configuration file you need to make sure that you include, let's go to the end of the line. I can't see everything because of the go to training interface, which you don't see. To start with, just remove RHGB and quiet, and next BIOS dev name equals 0 and net.if names equals 0 as well. If you set those two parameters as grub options, and after that you do a grub to mkconfig-o/boot/grub2/grub.cfg, new configuration will be written, and after a reboot you should have ETH0 instead of ENO16777 and so on. Net.if name equals 0, Frederick. Let me put it in the chat. So that is net.if names equals 0, and BIOS and dev name equals 0 as well. Let me double check that because one of them has an S and the other one has not, and I don't want to make any mistakes. So etc default grub and BIOS dev name and net.if names equals 0. So yes, you can see it in the chat right now. All right, nmcli. What you need to know about nmcli is that nmcli works with two items: devices and connections. Milos, don't do this on the exam. On the exam, use the configuration as you are getting it, because you totally don't care about the name of your network interfaces. You most likely will have one network interface only. This is convenient for your own test environment if you don't like these stupid network names. Well, I think they are stupid, and I know there are good arguments to like them anyway. So yeah, you are free to like them. If you don't like them, like I do, use what I've just shown you. If you do like them, don't touch them. All right, what I want to talk about is nmcli. So nmcli, the Network Manager Command Line Interface. You know what? Let's start with nmcli-examples. You can see examples on how to configure network stuff with nmcli. Example 6, for example, is showing you how to add bonding and to slave connection profiles, or how to set up teaming, or how to set up bridging. Or example 9, adding an Ethernet connection profile with manual IP configuration. I've had people in my classes that started to cry when they saw this line. I mean, who on earth can ever type a line like this without any errors? nmcli, con add, con name, my con, em1, I have name, em1, type, and so on, and so on, and so on. Well, this is not how you want to do it. The nmcli examples is nice if you want to do RHCE, and on RHCE you want to do network bonding or network teaming or bridging. If you want to do nmcli, yes, Shaq, you should use nmcli tab. What you can see here, this is bash completion, right? nmcli works with arguments like agent connection device, general help, networking, and radio. Hey, let's move over to server 2 as well. And let me do nmcli tab. And what do I see? A list of files in the current directory. Now, why is that? That is because on server 2, we don't have the package bash completion. It's not there. So you need to install bash completion, open a new login shell, and after that on server 2, you can use nmcli like you can on the server that has bash completion installed. Let's do the same command on server 1, rpm-qa pipe grep bash-completion. Our nmcli rpm, yeah, obviously that's not going to work. And you can see bash completion has been installed. So do yum install bash completion, log out, log in again, and you can do tab in nmcli. Now in nmcli, as I just mentioned, we have two items that matter: the connection and the device. The device is your physical network card. That is typically something that's just there, and you are not going to manage it directly a lot using nmcli. The connection is a configuration that you want to assign to a physical network card. And now comes one of the reasons why they are doing that, and also one of the reasons why so many people don't like the network manager. So why are they doing that? Well, when Red Hat back in 2004 started with Network Manager, they wanted to provide a uniform solution to manage networks on desktops as well as servers. You may remember that back in 2004, many people were expecting the breakthrough of Linux as a desktop operating system, so some serious work has been done in that period. And on a desktop, especially if it's a portable computer, you have Wi-Fi. And to manage Wi-Fi, it is very convenient if you can switch between different connections, like you did in Windows 95. You remember? Windows 95 introduced the concept of a connection, and you had the option to choose a different Wi-Fi profile when you were working at the company or back home. That is basically the idea of what nmcli is doing. Now, how useful is that for servers? I think we all agree it's not. But it's just the way it works, so deal with it. And if you don't deal with it, well, it's not going to work out well for you, so you better understand. So let me do nmcli connection tab. What can we do with nmcli connection? Let's start doing nmcli connection show. Like I've just mentioned, I am completely going to ignore these two lines. I only have to reboot to get rid of them. I don't want to waste time on a reboot, so I'm not doing that now. So what we see here, we've got an ETH0, which is the connection that has a certain UUID, that has a certain type, and that is connected to the device ENO 16777736. So what we are going to manage is a connection, and if you are going to the etc directory etc sysconfig network-scripts directory, you can see that the name of the connection corresponds to the IFCFG name. Jacques, thank you for taking care of questions not directly related to what I'm talking about. I appreciate a lot, so I can continue explaining this. So cool. So yeah, the connection is what is creating the IFCFG configuration file. And if you look at the contents of the configuration file, many of you may have seen it before. This is basically what you are writing using nmcli. Now what I want to do, I want to create a new connection. So I want to create a new connection. I want to see how that relates to the configuration file, and I want to show you how easy it is using nmcli. So let's start by using nmcli tab tab. Tab tab is showing all these different options. So what do we want to use? We want to use connection tab tab. And tab tab is providing you the options that are available. Now, if you want to add a new connection, what do you guess needs to be done? Well, use add. So I'm typing add tab tab. And then it is telling me what exactly it expects me to do. So I can use auto connect if I wanted to be using DHCP or anything like that. I can specify the con name, which is a connection name. I can ask for help. I can specify an IF name. I can specify a type. It doesn't really matter here. So let me do con name tab tab. Well, it can't guess what I want to use as a connection name. So let's call it Friday. We don't really care about the name of the connection and do tab tab again. So now it is asking me for the rest of the parameters it is expecting. IF name may make sense. So IF name, that is the interface name. That is the device you want to create this connection for. So IF name tab tab, and it is showing me all the devices that it currently knows about. So that would be ENO 16777 and so on. Tab tab, it needs more information. It wants me to do type as well. Well, it doesn't really need more information because I can start using save right now. And if I'm doing save, this connection will be using DHCP. And if I want to specify something manually, I'm continuing. I don't want to do auto connect. I don't want to save right now. I want to specify a type. So which types do we have? And in here you can see Ethernet or InfiniBand or VLAN or Wi-Fi or a bond or where is it, or a team or a network bridge. So you can specify whatever type you like. So in this case, I just want to do Ethernet. So type Ethernet, tab tab. And now we're in business. Here we can see the parameters that allow us to specify Ethernet related stuff like the IPv6 address or the IPv4 address or the gateway or the MTU or the MAC address and so on. So let's just keep it simple and do IP4. Notice it's not IPv4, it's IP4. And this is confusing because sometimes nmcli needs IP4, other times it needs IPv4. Do we really care? No, because we've got tab tab. Tab completion takes care of it for us. So you don't have to think about it. So IP4, and now I need to set an IP address, which is going to be 192.168.4.211, for example. Now there is one thing that you should be aware of when you specify an IP address, and please do remember this. This is true for all the utilities that Network Manager is using. When you specify an IP address, you do need to specify a subnet mask as well. If you don't, you'll get a 32 subnet mask. And in IPv4, if your subnet mask is /32, you won't be able to communicate with anyone on the network. So that doesn't make sense. Unless you want to be a network all by yourself. That's not funny, so don't do that. Typically in IP4 you also need a gateway. So GW4 would be the gateway. Go ask your network guy what gateway you should use, and then you can specify, you can press enter, and you can see the connection is successfully added. If you type ls now, you can also see that we've got IFCFG Friday. And in IFCFG-Friday, you can see all the parameters that we have just specified. I know that some people are trying to modify this by hand, even on the exam. I wouldn't recommend doing that, because you can do it, but you need to be pretty sure about the exact syntax of the parameters that you are using. Don't risk messing up your configuration. Just let nmcli do it for you. You have just seen that it is pretty easy to do it, but we are not done right now. We need to do something else, and that is nmcli connection show. Because what do we see? Well, we see that currently ETH0 is connected to ENO 1677736, and I want the Friday connection to be active. Do I really want that? I don't think so, because I will lose my SSH connection. So you know what? Before getting there, let me also show you nmcli connection, tab, and then modify. Oh, there are two methods of changing the connection. Some people like the nmcli connection edit. I think it's too complicated. It's for people that do have quite some experience already. If you are new to this stuff, just use nmcli connection modify. Oops, tab, of course. So what do we want to modify? The Friday connection. And what exactly do we want to set? Well, I want to modify the IPv4 dot addresses. And the address I want to set is 192.168.4.210/24. That is just because I don't want to lose connection. I'm using this IP address right now, and I don't want to switch over to the virtual machine console. I'm quite happy with my SSH session. Oh, and at the same time, you may have missed something while we were configuring this, and that is DNS. So at the same time, let's also set DNS. So IPv4.DNS, and let's set it to 192.168.4.200, which is my IPA server. You know what? I want to add another DNS. So plus add another one, IPv4.DNS, not 198.8888. Oh, by the way, I don't see the chat right now. I will take questions at the end of the session. It allows me to concentrate some more on what I'm doing here. I notice that if I try to explain and I have the chat open, then that's distracting me. So if you're waiting for an answer, please 5 more minutes of your patience, and I will do Q&A at the end of the session. So this is basically how you do it. And now if we do Vim on IFCFG Friday again, then you can see that the new parameters have been added. The gateway, the DNS, the new IP address. So it is pretty easy to modify it using nmcli as well. And I hope this little demo has convinced you that it is also pretty easy, and you don't have to remember very much. It's pretty easy to create configurations just from the command line and without thinking too much about it. Now the next thing is nmcli connection. I want to activate it. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's do up. Which connection? Friday. I hope my SSH is going to survive it, and apparently it does, because it's telling me the connection is successfully activated. So nmcli con show, and we can see that right now we are on the Friday connection. And this concludes my demo of how easy it is to use nmcli. Now, there's one more thing that I want to show you before diving into Q&A. And that is the thing that I shouldn't show you, nmtui. The only thing I want to accomplish is to convince you that this is not a nice utility. So what it's offering, edit a connection. So you can see it's connection oriented as well. So I want to edit my Friday connection, and let me add an IPv6 address, okay? So I'm going to edit. And by the way, we may consider ourselves lucky because this is 7.2 of CentOS, and the utility is probably not going to crash on me. It's just going to behave weird. So we can see the IPv4 configuration. I'm okay with that, and IPv6 currently set to automatic. I want to set it to manual, and I want to show, and I want to add a configuration. In IPv6, there's some pretty specific options that you should be using. So the address FD00, let's set it to 210 with a 64-bit subnet mask. IPv6 is 128 bits, and the IPv6 addresses that you can use for testing purposes are pretty well defined. And FD00 is like 192.168 in IPv4. You can use it as private addresses behind NAT or anything like that. I'm quite surprised that it hasn't done anything weird yet. Wow, you're not going to tell me that this time it's going to work, I hope. So let me move on. FD00::2 as the default gateway. And can we do DNS? You know what? I think it's not going to do anything stupid this time. Oh, now there we are. It is doing something stupid. I want to go to the OK button. The OK button. So I press tab again. And here I am back at the profile name. Now, why is that? Probably because it's waiting for a DNS server. If you know how to use it, now you can use OK. And wow, this is going to be the first time in my life that I have a flawless demo with nmtui. That's not going to help me convince you that you shouldn't use this utility. You'll just have to believe me. Or try it on the exam for yourself and fail and pay the price of the exam again. They're pretty expensive. Oh, by the way, after doing the connection, after modifying the connection, you should go to activate the connection, select the connection, deactivate and activate again. You may have noticed I'm in an SSH session. In an SSH, it doesn't really work if I'm going to select deactivate here because I will lose connection. I'm just going to quit. You know what? I want to make sure that it works anyway, so a virtual machine. I know this is a little bit small, but it will only take 2 minutes or so. Might be able to make it a little bit bigger. This is probably better. Does help if you can see, right? Oops, and it was the wrong virtual machine. I was looking for server 1. Haha, wrong virtual machine. Stupid me. Okay, we'll have to do with this. nmtui activate the connection. Friday deactivate and activate. Now what has happened? What has just happened? ETH0 is activated again. I didn't ask for that. Go away. And why do I have an Ethernet and a PCI Ethernet? Does a stupid utility recognize two different devices? Well, let's get out of here. Now let's do nmcli con show and make sure that it's still working. It's still working. Let's get back to this session, which is still alive. And that is what I wanted to show you about Network Manager, the nmcli utility, and the nmtui utility. Let's move over to Q&A. I will open my chat window right now and see what is happening. So Ian is mentioning, I have a lot of feedback. Please don't chat right now because it will get back to the end and I'm trying to scroll back a little bit to see what you were doing. Marius, like we're back in 1992. The developer, yeah, Shaq, the developer must have been drunk on the add IP4 and the modify IPv4. Exactly, that's what I think. It is fixed in 7.1. That is not the IPv4 and the IP4. That is still the same in 7.1. Then, okay, RHCSA exam. One question about add user. Sorry, I'm not going to do add user right now. Send me an email, off topic kind of a bit. Tajinder, so we should not be using nmtui at all for exam. I really recommend not to do any nmtui on the exam. if you're doing nmtui on the exam, you risk getting a segmentation fault. And that is why I really hate this utility. Now, what is a segmentation fault? That means that the utility is trying to address memory that doesn't belong to the utility, but belongs to some other process. So what is going to happen? If one process is accessing memory that is being used by another process, you get memory corruption. And the only smart thing to do after segmentation fault is to reboot your server, because otherwise you will likely get in trouble sooner or later. And if you reboot your server during the exam, you will A, lose all your configuration, so it wasn't worth it, and B, you will lose time, and you are going to miss you are going to meet your time. And I am pretty convinced that if you spend half an hour on nmcli and just practice what I just did, just do the same, you will totally be okay with nmcli. And if you do it for RHCE, on RHCE you need to know about advanced stuff like teaming and binding. Just use nmcli examples. So Rob is mentioning one drawback with nmcli const show. You cannot see for which device a connection is made when the connection is not active. Yeah, of course, there are always disadvantages. Rob, what you mentioned is something that counts in real life. It doesn't really count on the exam, because you will have one device only. Marius, there's a section for nmcli in the RHCSA course. If you mean my beautiful course that is online, yes, there's a section on nmcli in that course. And also, you can find it in the cert guide, in the book. Yeah, I understood the video course. And okay, I don't see any significant questions coming up anymore. Do we have any more questions? I have 8 minutes left because before my wife is expecting me. If you don't have any more questions, then I'm going to show you something else that you might be interested in. I know from the previous sessions that many of you are reading through my cert guides, the RHCSA, RHCE 7 cert guides. There is coming an update to the cert guides. If you have the paper book, that's not going to help you, because we cannot update paper in an easy and convenient way. If you have the ebook, then you will be able to download the update through Pearson IT certification. It will probably be there in a couple of weeks, so it won't be really soon, but it's upcoming. And if you do have the paper book, keep an eye on my newsletter that I normally send out on Sunday, because I will announce some of the more important things that have been changed, and I will publish them in the download section of my website so that everybody can download it for free. I cannot fix the typos, every single typo in a diff, but some exercises have been improved, and I do want to share that with you. So I do have some more questions. Marius is asking, wait, there's a newsletter. Marius, if you go to my website, that is rhcert.com, where is it? This website, rhcert.com. You will find a link where you can subscribe to my newsletter. And I'm trying to use it just with useful information. Also useful, follow me on Twitter or connect with me on LinkedIn, because I have anything last minute that comes up and that's interesting, I will announce it on LinkedIn and Twitter only. Newsletter is something that I'm creating externally, and that involves a little bit more time. And the spontaneous actions are coming through LinkedIn and Twitter. Just hit the contact here and you'll get updates. Thank you very much. So, some more questions. Milos posted one question. I asked if there's anything else other than what you showed us that we should expect on RHCSA, if you can talk about it, of course. Well, as an RHCSA, what I can show you, let me show you in a new tab, the RHCSA objectives. This is telling you what you should expect on the RHCSA exam. So what exactly do we see here? Well, this is a list of topics, and there is something network related right here. Trying to find it real fast. Configure networking and hostname resolution statically or dynamically. Dynamically, that is the IP command. So you need to be able to use the IP command. But hey, everything you do on the exam should survive a reboot. And if you use the IP command, it doesn't survive a reboot, so that doesn't make sense. Focus on nmcli. Do we have any more questions? Sharif is asking, if you have RHCE 6, do you need to take RHCSA 7 before taking RHCE 7? If your RHCE 6 hasn't expired yet, then you should only have to take RHCE on 7 and not RHCSA. If it is older than 3 years ago, then you should take both. Can we disable Network Manager and just use Network? Vivek is asking, please don't do that. You'll get in trouble. Don't do it. Many things are going through Network Manager. If you really know what you are doing, there are cases where you can disable Network Manager. But if you're not an expert on the topic, don't do it. Also on RHCE, you don't want to be doing teaming and stuff like that without Network Manager. One more question before leaving. What version of RHCSA exam is now current? I think it's still 7.0. I'm going to answer Marius in my language, want ik begrijp Afrikaans. Ik ben in Zuid-Afrika geweest. Ik praat Nederlands, Afrikanen gebruiken Afrikaans. And everything is clear. It was a pleasure, Marius. And I think that's all for tonight. I hope to see you again next week. What am I doing next week? I don't remember. Just check the website and you will find out. Thank you very much for attending. Hope to see you back soon. Bye bye and enjoy your weekend.